Hey guys, AJ here, back on another one. So today we're going to look at some more non-TCAP related content. I see that quite a few of you guys liked the last video, so I'm going to keep trying to mix in some non-TCAP related but TCAP adjacent videos. And yeah, before we do that, guys, please remember to like, subscribe, drop a comment. It helps to keep this channel going. So yeah, guys, this person that you see in front of you is Laura McCullum, and she is a very prominent female predator. And yeah, they did an interview with her on Oprah back in the day. So I don't know. I think this is in the 90s they did this, because Lisa Ling, she's the one that did
We're in the house.
the interview. And I know she has her own series now, but this is when she was still with Oprah. So yeah, guys, this woman's a real sicko, right? And let's just jump into the video here, and then I have an article that I can read, and it shows that not only is she like one of the most prevalent predators there is, but they let her out of jail. And it's crazy because you know that if this was a guy, like they would have buried him under the jail with the amount of victims she had. Let's just jump on this, okay?
Unit for the one female resident here in the facility, and we're trying to find out if she'll talk to us.
Laura's a little intimidated by all of this.
Yeah.
She's willing to talk if it's just like...
You guys, I know, like I said, that I try and keep my videos lighthearted when it comes to TCAP, but this type of stuff is not really funny, so I'll interject, but I usually don't really have like much funny stuff to say when this is like this bad, you know?
Cameraman and you.
Okay, great. Hi, Laura. I'm Lisa. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for talking to us. Can I ask why you're here?
Why I'm here? Well, I went to prison in 89, for first-degree rape of a child.
Do you think that you should be here?
Absolutely.
Would you say you're a danger to children if you were to be out in society?
Wow, that's a tough one.
See, guys, that's the scary thing right there, what she said. Okay? A person that's come to terms with their actions is actually sorry would say yes. You know what? I believe that I am, but I'm getting better or whatever. The fact that she's trying to dodge that question means, to me, I'm a layman, of course, I'm not a psychologist, that, you know, something's amiss here. Let's just back up just a little bit.
I'll just say that I have more things to work on.
Can you tell us how many offenses you've committed toward children?
Well, I have 15 that's accounted for, and I would say, as I've said in all my testings and stuff that they've done, I would say 100 or more.
15 that she admitted to, and 100. She just said 100 children that she's done stuff to. That's absolutely insane.
Before she was caught, Laura was a caretaker for babies and toddlers. She admits she sexually abused her young victims while babysitting them.
When you were offending, what would go through your mind when you would see children or babies even?
Well, I guess I should explain, it's not like all kids, every time I see a kid, I get aroused and, you know, I want to hurt them. How do I explain this? It's being in the line of their care, like having to bathe them or, you know, change them or do, you know, take care of them physically. You know, I did bad things, really bad things. So I almost killed one of my victims with putting a pillow over her head. I had a friend there, so that got interrupted, which I was very glad for after the fact.
What would have stopped you? Would anything have stopped you?
You know, I don't know.
That means nothing would have. The only thing that could stop her is getting caught, which thank whoever you pray to, she did get caught.
I don't think so, because I didn't need to groom my victims because they were so young, but I did have to groom their parents.
Laura says she groomed low-income drug-addicted moms by offering them drugs and alcohol.
What kinds of things should parents be aware of when it comes to people who have committed violations against children.
You know, don't leave your kids alone. Don't just let any Joe Blow babysit your kids.
Absolute facts. I hate to say that a predator's making sense, but she is right. Don't leave your kids just anyone off the street. You know what I'm saying? Just don't. That's the craziest thing. And this is the craziest thing about how now we regularly have daycare and all this other stuff where you don't know if those people that you're dropping your kids off to. When I was young, back in the 80s, we stayed with my great aunt. I mean, she was the one out of all our family members that would watch all of us kids, all of my cousins and I, whatever. So, like, there was always like a relative or whatever that could watch. But now you pay all this money to have some strangers that you don't even know take care of your kids. Absolute clown world.
You know, if your kids are uncomfortable around that person or they don't want to leave with that person, don't make them go.
Were there signs for you? I mean, if someone really was paying attention, were there signs?
Oh, yeah,
because
I
people
think so.
probably thought, well, it's a woman.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a
And that's
A background?
That's a bad one. I think that there are actually more women out there just like me. I just think they ain't been caught.
Boom. And there you go, guys. This is why I wanted to do this, and this is why I did my previous video on female predators. You know, guys, there's women out there doing this too. It might not be as prevalent as men, but the insidiousness of female predators. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that oftentimes they get away with it, they don't get caught, and when they do, no one does anything about it. Even this woman here, she got out of jail after admitting that there was over 100 victims. I mean, that's crazy. And they let her out of jail.
And I don't want this to come out the wrong way. It's almost like back when I was offending, if I saw a parent that seemed negligent or they didn't want to be bothered with their kid or they didn't want to go to the park or they didn't want to play with them or they were messy and dirty and they needed a bath, those were kind of the people that I targeted, the people that just had low stress for their kids.
So you exploited the vulnerable children.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any child is vulnerable, but especially ones that don't get what they need when they're at home.
Have you had any interactions with any of your victims or your victims' parents?
No, we're not allowed to contact them. You know, I pray for my victims.
Okay.
You know, I hope they're happy and that their life isn't, you know, completely destroyed because of the things I did to them. And
So you feel remorse for it?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I believe I do.
Do you have children?
I believe I do. You notice how that's not a definitive statement? She didn't say I do. She said I believe I do.
Yeah, I got four. I have four girls.
And she has 4 girls.
They don't live with me and they never have.
Did you ever offend against them?
My youngest daughter, I did.
Jesus.
It was more of a physical abuse than a sexual abuse. It was still abuse. You know, there is no difference.
And were you molested as a child?
Yes, I was.
How old were you?
7.
When you were molested at 7, was it very violent?
You know, I'll just say I don't think no molestation isn't violent or rape. I have a hard time with that word molestation because it's kind of like you didn't molest, you raped. I sometimes think when people say molestation, it's because they're trying to clean it up, you know, so I don't say molestation.
And you raped.
Definitely.
Yikes. Yeah, 2010 this was. Yeah. So, here, let me give you 1 second, guys. Yeah, here we go. So, here we go, guys. That's her. In all of her glory. Washington's first female violent predator released to Spokane. Now, guys, Washington State's where I'm from, right? And this was 2020, so they let her out of jail. Absolute clown world. Unbelievable. Okay, here we go. The second woman in the United States determined to be a violent predator and the first female to be civilly committed to McNeil Island was released to Spokane last month. Laura F. McCullum, who was 62, who was convicted of graping. I have to say that for the algorithm, guys. Graping the Tacoma an infant in 1990, and has admitted to having as many as 15 victims, now lives on 1400 block of North Lincoln Street. Her unconditional release came after Washington General Attorney Bob Ferguson's office petitioned the Pierce County Superior Court to dismiss her violent predator classification in March because multiple mental health experts could not prove that she was likely to reoffend. That's just clown world. Guys, they're trying to say they couldn't prove that she was going to do it again. The court's decision to release McCollum was a shock to Sylvia Peterson, who believes she should never have been released after numerous interviews with the offender that informed her book, Laura and Me. That is still my opinion, Peter Peterson told the Spokesman Review. In July, McCollum had reported to watching the movements of a young girl and fantasizing about, being with her while living in a Lakewood apartment under strict supervision, according to court documents. That's a dangerous pedophile, Peterson said. If she would do that under strict conditions, she would certainly do that under no conditions. McCollum, who was originally from Tennessee, was removed from her parents' home at 2 years old and reported extreme abuse by her foster parents, according to court documents. At age 16, she gave birth to a boy who was a product of rape by her foster father. So yeah, guys, so she had a hard life, but that's no excuse to be victimizing over 100 kids, right? She arrived in Washington in 1985 when she was in her late 20s. Police arrested her in March 1990 after she admitted to her therapist that she had repeatedly abused an infant girl she was babysitting in Tacoma during the latter half of the 1980s, according to court documents. The girl was between 18 months and 3 years old during the abuse. Yikes. After McCollum's initial 68-month prison sentence, a Pierce County Superior Court judge determined she was violent, SCX predator, and had her civilly committed in 1997. She spent several more years at Washington's women's prison before she was committed to McNeil Island Special Commitment Center in 2004. She was in total confinement and a lone occupant of her unit for the vast majority of the last 15 years. Wow. During treatment, she admitted to abusing 14 children as an adult, often by targeting single moms and parents who abused drugs. She also reported victimizing more than 100 other children when she was a child herself in the foster system. She began her transition back into society in June when she was released to an apartment near 5516 Detroit Avenue, southwest in Lakewood, under strict supervision, according to court documents. She was still mandated to receive mental health treatment for sex offenders and was not allowed to leave her residence without a court-approved chaperone and a GPS on her person. But, here we go, guys. But in July, she reported noticing a girl around 6 in her neighborhood who she then began to watch from her porch and through windows. She said she fantasized about being with the girl. And she's still out, guys. She's still not... Okay. Some reports include this claim that McCollum, from her, that she aids the girl to adulthood in her fantasies. Okay. She was arrested on July 18th, and she returned to McNeil Island due to concerns about the child. Oh, so she actually went back. But then she was released again in October, and then returned in January. So she got out, and went back. On April 1st, her therapist wrote in a report that the state DOC did not support placing her back in Lakewood, and that her unconditional release was imminent. Wow. Crazy. The psychologist who interviewed her in February ahead of a trial for her release determined she still suffered from pedophilic disorder, but could not say with certainty that she was likely to abuse again. He wrote that there was no evidence that she experienced a major lapse when watching the child in June, and she showed progress by not becoming physically ill. How can she know that? Guys, I've said this in my TCAP videos. Guys, this is the West Coast. Okay? If this was in the South, I don't know what they would have done, but it would have been worse than this. There's no leeway for this. I would have to believe in my heart of hearts that even though most of the criminal justice system is easier on women, no southern state is gonna do this. They would have just buried her under the jail, right? But to say that whoever this therapist is thinks that she's better now, come on, right? Okay, where were we? Interviewed two mental health experts who performed annual reviews of her case in 2018 and 2019 also said that she did not meet the definition of a sex violent predator, but had problems regulating her own behavior, and she shouldn't be out. In the absence of any expert report concluding to a reasonable degree of psychological certainty that Miss McCollum she continues to meet the criteria for commitment, the state cannot make this showing at the show cause or trial stage. As such, the petition must be dismissed, and that's the petition to actually keep her there. McCollum told a psychologist in February that she wanted to move to Spokane because her attorney Andrew Morrison and psychiatrist Julie Kress live in the region. She also said that she wanted to gain a part-time job as a night shift janitor and continued her treatment. While I have deep concerns regarding her health, safety, and welfare, as well as the welfare of the community, should she embark on the proposed unconditional release, these concerns cannot supersede state law. Brian Judd concluded. Brian Judd, they should commit you. How about that? Peterson, the author who interviewed McCollum dozens of times for her book, says it's not if she reoffends, it's when. Unfortunately, there's going to be at least one more victim between now and then. People don't look at a woman and think she's going to, offend against her children. McCollum, she registered as a offender with Spokane County Sheriff's Office on April 14th and was classified as a level 3 offender. Most likely to abuse again. Neither Sheriff's Office nor the police department have issued a public notice. I think that people in Spokane need to know that this is a high-risk person. Wow, guys. This is absolutely insane. I haven't really seen any updates on this yet, so yeah, guys, this is crazy. This is terrible. She's out there free, and something bad's probably gonna happen. And because she's a woman, people just don't think that she can just be that big of a threat, or I don't know. And as I'm from Washington State, and I just don't get it. Guys, make this make sense to me in the comments if you can explain this, because this woman should not be out of jail or out of the mental hospital, So, all right, you guys, I just wanted to put out some more content for you guys. And yeah, I'll be back to the TCAP stuff soon. And yeah, this is AJ. I'm out of here.